Alright, how is it going, everybody? We are back here, and I have been working on getting this set up. Now, it is not 100% foolproof. I'll explain that in a minute. I've literally been working on this all morning. I actually had the dirt ripped out all the way back to here and had all of these repeaters working, and then I realized I was having an issue where it wasn't pouring. I couldn't figure out why. And then that made it to where I figured out the issue. So you'll see right now it's at iron temperature. And as soon as this lights, it'll be, there we go. That's at steel temperature. Now it's going through. It's got a redstone signal, but it's not pouring. That's because it's partial iron, partial steel. When it turns to steel, it does take a second, but it pours. And then the next one drops in. So the only issue with this setup the way it is right now, there is no emergency shutoff. There's no kill at the end because I don't have a place for another thermometer. If I had room for one more thermometer, like on our alloy furnaces or alloy crucibles we usually make, we have an extra thermometer on the backside that says if it gets to like 2400, 2450, send out a redstone signal and it hits a piston. We unfortunately don't have that because this is steel. It has to have the engine on the back. So you will have to manually shut this off. So it'll be good for big batches, but you're still going to have to keep an eye on it. I haven't worked out yet how to do it with an emergency shutoff. Go ahead and shut that off. I did go ahead. You can see I put some hoppers underneath. There's one underneath there as well. And I made me a couple barrels over here to collect the ash and the dark ash. And I'm in the process of piping it up. I just didn't make enough pipes to get it all completed, but I can show you over here. I've got this crucible completed. So right there's the dust funnel going into the pipe. The dust funnel is not technically needed, but seeing as how I run that on lignite, I don't want to jam up the so by letting them, and that's all I'm going to run in this one is lignite. So I can't put coal. Well, I can put coal, I can put coke, and I can put lignite or lignite coke. I just can't run charcoal because all of those turn into dark ash. But anyways, that will combine any of them together, send them through the pipe. The pipe comes over here, and there's my barrels. So that is what I'm doing with that. I will have one connected to each one of my solid fuel boilers I have, or burning boxes I have. I did make a burning box for that. Also hooked them up with hoppers. But again, hoppers are not connected yet, so they aren't doing anything. But let me explain how this setup works. So when you come into a cold crucible with nothing in it, you will drop in your dust. And for this, I've got 9 steel scrap here. It can be dust or ingots, doesn't matter. I'm going to take this and turn it into a steel dust, because I've turned almost all the iron I have into steel trying to fix this. So you'll see that there's nothing in it. So I put this in and it drops straight in. Now, if I use the magnifying glass on here, you'll see it emits exact stack size of 1. So even if I put a full stack in there, it isn't going to take it. Now, if I take, we're just say take 8 tin here, and I throw it in there, it's not going to drop it in. And the reason for that is the weight sensor here on the side. It doesn't matter which weight sensor you use, because it just needs to read equals 0. So I used a lightweight sensor. But you just use your screwdriver on it, just like showed you over here. I'll show you on this one. Just hit it like this, turn it to equals, and that's all you gotta do. No button pushing or anything. Put that back to normal. And it'll automatically be equals to 0. So it then sends a redstone signal up and into that torch. This part is not needed. That was for something else. So the torch on the wire, if you don't know how to do it, you can use a torch or a repeater. I don't know why you would use a repeater, but you can use a repeater. And it basically inverts your signal. So this one right now is off because it doesn't, wait a minute, it actually should be on. Maybe a repeater actually does something different and I don't know it. Greg will have to yell at me and tell me. But basically, I just dropped all that tin in there. But put that on there. You see it's inverted. So it now looks like it's on. And if I, hopefully this, I guess you can't put that on the side of there. All right, hold on. Take it off. Put it on something I know it will work on. Put it on there. Put the button there. Hit it. Turns it off. Turns it back on. And then if you ever need to get it off, you just use that. And I've got to put that repeater on there again, just to see what it does. I don't see where the repeater does shit. It don't even look like it made it slower. So I have no idea. I know you can put them on there, just don't know what they do. Greg will have to yell at me and tell me what they do. Alright, so this goes on the wire towards there, and that blocks it from outputting anything once it gets a signal, or until it gets a signal from the weight sensor. Then this one is set to greater than 2046, because 2046 is when steel forms. Now, this is going to have no idea if you're actually forming steel. You have to make sure that the oxygen is coming in. There's no way that I know of to make sure that it's actually forming. Now for the more complicated part, but it's actually not that complicated. It's just a series of repeaters in a loop to make the pulse longer, because you don't want this to instantly output redstone and pour, because then it'll pour it as wrought iron. You want to give the oxygen time to start infusing the iron and turning it into steel. Now, I actually had a problem where I couldn't figure out why it wasn't pouring when I had 12 of these repeaters all set to 4 down here, and the Problem was I had a pulse former in there, so it would only send one pulse up, and it was sending one pulse up, but the steel hadn't turned, or all of the iron hadn't turned to steel yet. So I took out the pulse former and just went with 6 of them, which seems like enough that it stops this from running, which I'm going to go ahead and turn this on so I can get my tin out of there. But yeah, you just have redstone coming out of the thermo sensor to a bank of repeaters. If somebody wants to try this and see if maybe 4 of them works just fine, or even 2, let me know. But this works perfectly for me, and repeaters are cheap, so I don't really care. And I've already made so many trying to do this, because I was trying to get the timing right to where it would just pop when it was actually turned to steel. And well, that never happened. But it goes around and comes up here. I could run it up and over top of the chest, but I don't want to get in the way of that stuff. So you can probably do it a little bit shorter that way. And then there's just a hopper sitting right there that pulls everything out and puts it down here in the chest. So once I make a big batch of iron, I can throw it in here, turn it into a big batch of steel. And like I said, the only thing you got to worry about is that thing turning off at the very end. And since I have a lead hopper, which only has 1 slot, I can put a chest on top of there and just fill it with like lead, or I don't even know what lead. You have to make sure it's something that doesn't boil past 2000. So copper would work because that doesn't boil till like 28, and then it's annealed. But I'm thinking I might just put a chest of something up here to drop in once the steel is done. And that way, if I'm not here, it won't blow up. But even if it does blow up, it's going to be an empty crucible that it blows up. So it's not like it's the end of the world. You're not losing, 16 steel. You're losing a bit of clay for a crucible. So who really cares? There's tons of it out there. Now, speaking of, Greg has done some more fixes, or I guess these aren't fixes, these are changes. But I have been complaining for a long time about the fact that we get kaolite when we are processing bauxite. This part of it I actually have not looked at yet. But when we take our crushed bauxite and we put it into a sluice, we get kaolite clay ore, which was just kaolite ore at the time. There's also a gibbsite ore now, which wasn't in there before. Ilmenite, hematite, kaolite, hematite, ilmenite. All right, I have to look at what this gibbsite is. I think I know what it is. Gibbsite. I need the, well, is gibbsite aluminum hydroxide? Aluminum hydroxide dust. So purified gibbsite ore turns into aluminum hydroxide dust. So apparently that's aluminum hydroxide. Which, didn't this actually give aluminum hydroxide? I think he just changed it to gibbsite, which gives you bauxite, ilmenite, and hematite. But anyways, the kaolite, we're just going to look up clay now. The kaolite is now its own clay. It is the white clay. I'm not quite sure. Don't ask me why Greg has two different names. It's Greg. But we have the regular clay up here, the regular gray Minecraft clay, which you may notice that the chemical formula for it is different now. The regular Minecraft clay or gray clay is an aluminum oxide. It's actually alumina and silicon dioxide with water. And so there's no sodium and there's no lithium in it anymore. So now if you look at clay powder, which used to have an electrolyzing recipe, and you will see now that it does not have an electrolyzing recipe anymore, but you can turn it into dry clay powder. And that dry clay powder then can be electrolyzed into 5 alumina and 12 silicon dioxide. As I said, no lithium, no sodium. So now you have brown clay, red clay, yellow clay, blue clay, and white clay. Or when it's in dust form, brown clay, red clay, bentonite clay, paleogorskite clay, and kaolite clay. Don't ask me, blame Greg. So the brown clay you will see has the same recipe or the same chemical makeup as the dry clay, or if we look at the regular clay powder, the same as that. This is only different because it doesn't have water, except it has Li in front of it, which is lithium. So this can be electrolyzed. You don't dry it. You straight electrolyze this and get lithium and clay powder, which you then dry. And then if you look at red, it has a K, that's potassium, and A for the bentonite, that's the sodium, and Mg for the poly is magnesium, and kaolite is calcium, Ca. So each one of these now will electrolyze, and it's only 266, not 1300 like kaolite used to be. So you can actually use your kaolite and get your alumina out of it. Now, you can also just dry every one of these, so be careful of that. You will lose when you dry it whatever extra chemical is in it. So only dry the gray stuff. Do not dry your red stuff unless you literally just want the aluminum and silicon dioxide out of it. And I was just looking to see. It does not look like there's a smelter recipe. Yeah, there's no smelter recipe for the clays except for this one. So this one, or wait a minute, there's no smelter recipe anywhere. So you can't turn any of them into just aluminum. You have to electrolyze them to get the aluminum out of it, which is what I would expect. I don't know why in the hell I thought that. By the way, in testing, I died twice. I died once over here and once over there. It was sad. Trying to get this thing set up, I made two really stupid mistakes, and well, I died. But that is that change. And then he has also changed that we now have 3 different black sands. We have regular black sand as normal. We have the Baltic mineral sands. There we go, black sand. So regular black sand, we have basaltic black sand, and we have granitic black sand. The only difference is this has regular rocks in it. This one has basalt rock in it, and this one has black granite rocks in it. And that's only if you sift it. If you centrifuge them, you will still get 10% vanadium pentoxide and the mineral sand out of it. The mineral sand is literally just the same thing as magnetite as far as making iron. So no matter which way you do this, you're going to get the 14 to 3 with 6 output of iron. So none of that is going to change. If you throw them straight in the crucible, they should do the exact same thing the way I've been doing it, because I haven't been sifting mine. I probably should, because even though it's only like 5% of it is going to give me a gold nugget, I don't have very much gold anyways, so a gold nugget here and there would probably be a good choice. Um, Also, I went and got some milky quartz. That way I could make my comparator that I actually didn't need, and been sifting that. So if you didn't know, there's milky quartz that you can use rather than going to the nether to get nether quartz. It works pretty much as nether quartz. And I think that is it for today. There's a few other bug fixes, like Greg just did a fix for the, if you take a saw and you put a stick in here, you get 2 short sticks, which are needed for making a gear. Well, there was an issue with that, which I don't have the fix for this, but I just seen it pop in before I started recording, where you couldn't get the dark short sticks or any of the specific ones. They all turned into the generic short stick, and he has fixed that. So you can now make wooden gears to make your gear molds. Thank you to Crazy for actually finding that, because I didn't actually make a wooden gear for the gear mold. So she's the one that found that one, and I had to check it out. But I think that is it for today. I can't think of anything else I need to go over. And I do believe I'm going to go get some more copper. And the next episode, we're going to set up a crusher. That way I can stop wasting ore. The only ore that I've wasted is coal, lignite, and the milky quartz. None of the other ores I've actually used. But we're going to make one of these next time. So I got to go find 2 more diamonds and make up a bunch of bronze. But I have been mining a bunch of things that I could be using, but I can't use it or I don't want to use it. I've been using all small ores up to this point, and I'm getting kind of fed up of it. So I'm going to build me another building over here as an extension to that one, since all of my distilled water will be over here. And this will be the start of my regular factory over there. I've done a building video for this one where I cut it I did that one where I just put the whole thing out. Maybe we'll do a speeded up type thing if I can figure out how to do that. For the actual factory, I don't know. But we'll see. But we should be starting on setting up the crusher next time. Have a good one, guys.